Have you ever felt the weight of a fear that seemed too big to face? In Buddhism, there is an ancient story about a monk who, while crossing a dark forest, encounters a large tiger on his path. With his heart racing, he remembers a lesson from his master. Don't try to push away what scares you. Observe it, and it will teach you about yourself. The monk, instead of running or fighting, sits silently, watching the tiger, feeling every beat of his own heart. And then something surprising happens. The tiger calms down, and the fear that previously gripped the monk begins to dissipate. He realizes that the fear was actually an opportunity to understand something deeper within himself. Just like this monk, each of us faces our own inner tigers. Those fears that seem bigger than us, the challenges that insist on robbing us of our peace. But what if, instead of resisting, we decided to learn from them? What if fear, instead of being an enemy, became an opportunity for growth? Today, we will explore this journey of overcoming through the eyes of a warrior who, like us, has his fears and faces daily challenges, but who learns to transform these challenges into a path of self-discovery and serenity. It was a peaceful morning. The warrior lived his days between the simplicity of his daily tasks and the training that strengthened his body and mind. Every movement, every breath was part of a routine that brought him peace. But even amidst the serenity, he felt a subtle tension. It was as if a shadow hovered in the background, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And in an instant the call came. It was not a visible enemy, nor a battle in the open field. It was an internal challenge, a confrontation with something much deeper. Fear settled in, filling the warrior's chest, whispering to him all the reasons to retreat, to seek the safety of what he already knew. Instead of acting immediately, the warrior remembered another lesson from his master. Fear is a visitor. Watch him. Don't judge him. He did not come to be fought, but to reveal something you did not yet understand. With his heart racing and his mind filled with doubt, he sat in silence, allowing himself to feel every part of that fear. He asked himself, what does this fear want to teach me? What does it reveal about what I haven't yet accepted within myself? With each question, the warrior felt a little more clarity. He understood that the real battle was not in pushing away fear, but in embracing it as part of his journey. The first step to overcoming was not to run away, but to accept. With a calmer heart and a clear mind, the warrior stood up. He knew that although the fear was still present, he no longer controlled it. This first step was an act of courage, not because I didn't feel afraid, but because I chose to face it consciously. As he walked, he remembered another lesson. Everything is impermanent. Just like the clouds that move across the sky, your fears, challenges, and achievements are just moments that come and go. This truth reassured him. He knew that even the greatest storms have their end, and that every obstacle on his journey was, in fact, a passage. The warrior's steps took him to unknown terrain, a path full of uncertainty. It was treacherous terrain where every step needed attention. The wind was blowing hard, bringing with it fragments of sand and dust that obscured his vision. It was as if the world itself was testing his resolve. But instead of resisting the harsh environment, he decided to observe each difficulty as part of his practice. Just as my master taught me to breathe in the midst of the storm, I need to find peace in the midst of chaos. At every step, he accepted adversity as opportunities to exercise patience and detachment. As he advanced, shadowy figures appeared, each representing a fear or doubt that he carried internally. These shadows were like reflections of his own negative thoughts, which tried to convince him that he was not strong enough, that failure was certain. But he knew that fighting these shadows would only make them stronger. Instead, he faced them calmly, acknowledging each fear without letting himself be overwhelmed. Thus, the warrior understood that his greatest strength did not come from resistance, but from the ability to embrace each moment, be it peace or challenge. The true path was not to fight what came your way, but to walk mindfully, accepting each step as an essential part of your journey. Finally, the warrior reached the culmination of his journey. Before him, a deep, dark abyss stretched out, as if it wanted to swallow everything he was. This abyss represented his greatest fear, the possibility of complete failure, of losing everything he had fought to protect, including those he loved. Standing on the edge of the precipice, he felt fear grip every part of his being. His heart was racing, and an intense cold crept up his spine. It was as if the very darkness of the abyss called him to retreat, to abandon the journey and return to the comfort of safety. But in this moment of pure tension, the warrior remembered a story he had heard from his master. A disciple asked his master, "How can I overcome fear?" Let him look at his own reflection in the water. The disciple saw his face trembling with anxiety and insecurity. "This reflection, like your fear, is just an illusion created by the mind," said the master. "Immerse yourself in water and it will disappear, for it has no substance of its own." With this memory, the warrior began to understand that the abyss before him, like the reflection in the water, was a creation of his mind. He realized now that his fear, although real in his experience, was not solid. It was an echo of her own doubts and insecurities, something that could be dissolved by confronting it with acceptance and clarity. Amidst this realization, he took a deep breath, turning inward. The fear was still there, but instead of being an uncontrollable monster, he now saw it as a passing shadow. He knew that his purpose was greater than fear, and that by taking a firm step forward, he was turning that moment into a symbol of his courage and determination. Upon finally crossing the abyss with confidence, the warrior felt the energy of fear dissolve, like waves that break apart upon reaching the beach. He understood now that fear was not something that needed to be destroyed, but accepted. And by accepting fear, he freed himself from the chains that limited him. After crossing the abyss and facing the final challenge, the warrior felt a peace he had never experienced. He looked around, noticing that the path behind him, full of obstacles and shadows, now seemed peaceful and illuminated. Every battle, every moment of doubt, and even every fall had become stepping stones to his transformation. The warrior realized that something inside him had changed forever. The strength he sought was not in the absence of fear, but in the acceptance of what he could not control. He understood now that every step, even the most painful ones, had led him to this new clarity. He had not just overcome an external journey, but he had freed himself from the chains he had imposed on his mind. With a heart full of gratitude, the warrior felt he needed to share what he had learned because he knew his journey could inspire others to find their own peace. In his words, he summed up the essence of his journey. As long as there is acceptance and perseverance, fear cannot win. The true warrior does not fight against what he feels. He embraces every emotion as part of the path, and in doing so he finds true freedom. At the end of his speech, he left a reflection for everyone who listened to him. Life is like the river in which we see our reflection. Fear, pain, and even joy are like waves, temporary and changeable. If we accept each moment without fighting it, we discover that deep down we are like water, always flowing, always at peace. The warrior now knew that his strength was not in the ability to win battles, but in the ability to accept what life presented him with a serene heart. And with this certainty, he continued his journey, no longer in search of external victories, but with the awareness that the peace he sought so much was, and had always been, within him. Did you like this reflection? If this content brought peace and inspiration to your journey, like it and share it with someone who could benefit from these words. Subscribe to the channel for more videos about self-knowledge and Zen practices, and be sure to check out our exclusive ebook with daily Zen practices, a special tool for cultivating balance and presence in your life. The link to the ebook is in the first pinned comment. To continue this journey now, we chose 2 videos here. Each of them offers a new perspective to deepen your path to self-knowledge. Choose one and allow yourself to dive even deeper into this process. Remember, every step taken with awareness is a victory towards inner peace. We are on this journey together,